Okay, so welcome. This is I believe it's week 7. And I remember last time we met. This is the fall 2020 adult beginner class. So the last time we met, I remember you guys requested a lecture on Zugzwang. So I have my lecture on Zugzwang I'm going to do with you guys. It's all ready. So, but before that, I'm going to hold on. Let's see. Can you guys see my screen?
No, have
No.
you shared it?
Let's see what happened. Let's see. Let's go back. Go back. Let's see. There you go. Good.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So yeah. So real quick, I'm going to show you blindfold. How do you play blindfold on Licha? So you go under your preferences. You hover on the top right over your name. Click down and see preferences. Click on preferences. Then you scroll all the way down. Now, so you're under game display, right? And you go all the way down. You see blindfold chess, invisible pieces. You see that? So you click yes, and so once you click yes, all the games that you will play, you will not see the pieces, but you will see the coordinates on the side of the board. So you can still go through the game just by reading the coordinates. I mean, and you move the pieces just like you would normally on in lead chess, with the mouse. But you just have no idea what piece it is that you're moving.
Mm.
So it's good practice. I definitely recommend it. You can practice with like the computer, Stockfish. Go all the way on level 1 and practice how good you can do if you can beat the computer on level 1 and see how far you can get. And afterwards you can see analyze it and see how good your mind is without looking at the pieces.
Mm.
So yeah, definitely I recommend that. Definitely. Okay. So let's see what we got here. Let's see here. Zugzwang. Yeah, here it is. Okay. Okay, so before we get into that, let's see here. All right, so I'm going to ask you first, what is Zugzwang? Let me ask you guys first. What is Zugzwang in your own words? I think we talked about it a little bit last time we met, right?
Is that when you can't make a good move?
Yeah, yeah. So it's basically a good description is the 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 uncomfortable feeling of being compelled to move. The compulsion to move without wanting to, right? So if you could, you would pass your turn because you really don't want to move. And any move that you make or that your opponent makes, if your opponent's in Zugzwang, any move that your opponent makes will either lose a lot of material, get in a worse position, or get checkmated. So either way, not good, right? So you really want this is something that you would is a great thing to get your opponent in, and something you definitely want to avoid for yourself. So let me just read to you real quick. Let's see, hold on. Okay. Okay, so I'm just going to read to you. Zugzwang is a situation found in chess where one player is put at a disadvantage because of their obligation to make a move. In other words, the fact that the player is compelled to move means that their position will become significantly weaker. Yeah, players said to be in Zugzwang when any possible move will worsen their position. So that's that. All right. So in this position that you see, you guys just see the position, right?
Right.
Good. Okay. So in this position, what would you say? Wait one moment. Yeah, come on. Get away. Get away. Okay. In this position, if it's white to move, what is the best move for white here? To put black in Zugzwang.
Um, Pawn to
So
D7.
by the way, yeah, white's going this way. The pawn.
Pawn to D7.
Yeah, so this is a very simplified position. Pawn d7 is the best move. Why? Because the king only has one move, right? Which is king e7. And now, what's the best move for white here?
Oh.
King to C7.
Yes, we want to control the promotion square, king c7, and now the pawn is assured to become a queen and is protected by the king, right? So very simplified position of Zugzwang. Now, let me ask you this. What if it was black's move in this position? What if it was black's move in this position? What would be the best move for black?
C8.
King. Oh, you mean king c8? Okay, king c8. So let me hold on. Let me see if I can bring. Where is that here? Okay, good. Okay, all right. Let's see here. Okay. Okay, so if it was black to move, king c8 is the best move, right? Why? Anybody see why that's the best move?
Now black has the opposition.
Yes, everybody familiar with this term, opposition? You know what that means? Everybody?
No.
No. Okay, so see, can you define that term, opposition? Monty, you said it, right?
Yes, well, if I understand it right, it's essentially, I mean, typically it's having one empty square in between, but you can have an odd number of squares in between when it's not your move. And maintaining the opposition is important whether you're trying to control or to shepherd your pawn to the 8th rank, or if you're trying to avoid being mated and salvage maybe a stalemate.
Okay. Okay. So real quick, let's go over real quick. What is opposition? I'm gonna give a simple example. So you see the kings right here. The kings are in opposition. Now, it depends on whose move it is, right? So if it's white's move, sorry, let's say it's black's move. Let's say black's move. So then we'll say that white has the opposition because black is forced to give way. Either way, it doesn't matter which way he goes. Let's say it's white's goal to invade his territory. So it doesn't matter either way he gives way. Let's say king e6. Now white can invade and like that and invade his territory. And black can do nothing. He can try king d7. He's going to invade on b6. So he's going to invade eventually onto the back rank, right? So that's, in this case, that would be white has the opposition and black is compelled to give way. And the same thing with black, right? So let's say it's white to move, right? So white wants to get here, black's trying to prevent him. So let's say white goes here. So now what's the best move for black here to maintain the opposition? Best move for black.
E6.
Yeah, king e6. Yeah. So if black wants to prevent white from coming in, black maintains the opposition. Now white can never get in because it doesn't matter where he goes, the black king will follow and he will never be able to invade the black territory. Everybody see that? So that's a simplistic explanation of opposition, right? And so basically the person who has the move has to give way. We say the other person has the opposition. So here, if it's black's move and white wants to invade, we say white has the opposition. Okay, good. So yeah. All right, so let's go back to the other position. So pawn here. So if it was black's move and black moved to king c8, now, so before when it was white's move here, it was a win, right? d7, king e7, and king c7. That's white wins. So now if it's black to move, king c8. Now what does white do? Does he have any good moves? What do you think? Any good moves here?
D5.
Okay, so king. Yeah, make sure you say the piece. King d5. So, okay, king d5. What's the best move here for black? So maybe it looks like white's trying to come around this side, right? So what's the best move for black here?
D8.
D8. Okay, actually D8. Let's see. Okay, D8 might work, but there's a simpler way. King D7. right? Very simple way. And now it doesn't matter where he goes. So there's a specific technique with this in this kind of position. If the king, it doesn't matter which side the king goes, make sure you go back straight, right? Because now if he tries to come in, king e6, again, black gains the opposition here. And now if he ever tries to push the pawn forward, what's going to happen? Can anybody see before I do it? What's going to happen if he tries to push the pawn?
Black king will go to D8,
And then it's going to become what?
a draw.
The stalemate. Yeah. There's no way that white will get there, because if he wants to continue to protect the pawn, he's going to stalemate black. So this is how in these positions, in these king endgames, it's like on a razor sharp edge of winning and losing. So you got to be very careful when it gets to these kinds of endgames. One king move could really mean the difference between a win and a loss. So you got to be careful about that. And yeah, the opposition, whose turn it is very important. Yeah. Is there any questions before I go on to the next position? Everybody's good? Okay. All right. So let's see the next position here. Let's see here. All right. So that's that. How about this one? So now the pawns are blocked. This pawn's white pawn's going up, black pawn's going down, so they're blocked. So now it's white's move. What's the best move for white here?
E6.
Okay, king e6.
Oh, yeah, that's
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's okay. King e6. Okay, so now you could have gone to king d5, e5. Why did you not go to king e5? Just curious.
That's a very good question, but I don't have an answer.
Because you're correct. King e6 is the correct answer, but my question is, why is it the correct answer? Because king e5 would actually be a mistake, a losing mistake. Does anybody see why?
King would back off the D4 pawn.
So if king goes to e5, white king goes to e5, what does black do?
C4.
Yeah, king c4 protects his pawn and also putting pressure on the white pawn. Now, it's white that's in Zugzwang. White is in Zugzwang. He's compelled to move, and the only places he can move to will be places where he will no longer be protecting his pawn, and white will and black will capture the pawn and win very easily. All right. So again, these positions are razor sharp edge as to who wins. So the correct answer is king e6. Right now we're attacking the pawn. So now, what do you think the best move is for black here?
C4.
Yeah, so king c4, if he goes king c4, now this is winning for white, right? Now white comes down to e5, and now it's the exact same position as before, but if you notice, it's now black's turn. See? So sometimes, you know how I said that openings are like a race, right? You want to try to develop your pieces as quickly as possible. And get them to active locations, and you don't want to move the same piece twice, right? You guys remember I mentioned that in the openings. So the end game is a little bit different. The end game, sometimes you want to lose a move. So this exact same position, depending on if it's white's move or if it's black's move, means the difference between winning and losing this game. So here it's white's move, so he's not in a hurry to get to e5, so he would like to lose a move with king e6, and now the only way for black to protect his pawn is to come to c4, and now he arrives at this position with black to move, and now this is a one position for white, right? Everybody see that? So now we say black is in Zugzwang in this position. Everybody clear on that one? Good. Awesome. Not going too fast, right? It's good. Okay, cool. All right. Next. Let's see. Okay, so this one. So white to move. Again, the pawn's going up this way. White to move. What is the best move for white here?
King to C6.
King C6. Okay, what does everyone think? Good move or bad move? What do you think? Monty, you're still on mute. I see you talking.
Good.
Good
I
move.
was just shaking my head. I was just nodding my head up and down.
Okay. Anyone else? What does everyone else think? Good move or
Good.
bad move?
Actually, it's good.
Everyone thinks it's a good move.
Yeah.
Okay. So this move, let's see what's gonna happen. So the best move here for black would be King C8,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yep.
Perhaps.
Checkmate.
And now what's the best move here?
King D6.
King D6. Okay, so if we go King D6, now black just he has the opposition now, right? So now white can't make any progress, right? So now let's say we keep going. So now what's another move we can do?
D6.
Yeah, so let's see D6, and now King D8 and D7, and we win. So it does lead to a win, but there's actually a quicker way to win. So it does lead to a win. So, but there's a quicker way to win. What do you think?
Just King to D6.
King D6. Yeah. Who said that? Hanya?
Yep.
Yeah, very nice. King D6 is the correct move, is the strongest move. Why is that the correct move?
Because you're creating opposition.
So now white has the opposition, right? Because now black is forced to give way. So it doesn't matter where he goes, left or right. Let's say he goes King E8. Now what's the best move for white?
C7.
C7, yeah. So now we invade and we gain control over the promotion square and all of these squares. So D6, D7, D8, and now black can do nothing and the pawn will become a queen. Right? Very nice. So, yeah, so this is called, actually there's a name for this position right here. It's called a perfect position, right? When the king and king's in front of the pawn and the opposing king they're all lined up. This is called the perfect position, and this is actually the idea when you're because this in kids games, like for example, let's say the king. Yeah, let's go back to this one. Let's say the king is here, or let's say the king is here. So many kids make the mistake they want to push their pawns first, but the thing is, most often what you want to do is clear the way and control the squares in front of the pawn before you push the pawn, right? Because the pawns can be blocked very easily, right? So the king, we want to push the king first and clear the way and control these squares before the pawn gets there, right? Because if you start pushing your pawn first, it's much easier for your opponent to block and stalemate, right? So very important. I see this a lot with beginners. They're so excited to push their passed pawn, and then they end up stalemating their opponent. All right, so don't be so excited to push your pawns. You got to make sure. Salute. You got to make sure that you control the squares in front of the pawn. Right, very important. Especially if it's just like this, king and pawn endgame. Very important. Okay, good. All right, everybody got that? Perfect position. Very good. Yeah. And actually, you know what? We can even go back further. We can go back. Let's say it's like this. Let's say it's like this, right? The pawn is starting all the way down here. So what do you think the best move would be here? Let's look at this.
C4.
King C4. No.
Nope.
No.
D4.
King D4. Yes. Remember, we want to get the king out of the way. So now
All
white
right. Thank
creates
you.
the. Say again.
Thank you. Now I just learned.
Yeah. So the king, we want to create opposition, get the king out of the way. Now it doesn't matter where he goes. We can just follow him, So let's say he's like, okay, I'm not going to get out of the way. Let's say I go back, king d7. Now what's the best move?
King D5.
Yeah, follow him. You want him to get out of the way, right? So you can keep doing that until you push him completely off the board. And then let's say now he's got to force to move out of the way. King e8. Now you invade king c7. Now you have control of these squares, and now he can come here. Let's say now you push, and now if he comes here, what do you do?
C6.
King c6. Good. King c6. Now he comes back. Now what do you do?
Advance your pawn.
Advance the pawn. Yep. Now what does he do? If he goes here, then we still have control of the promotion square, right? If he goes king e8, if he goes king d8, what do you do?
King to d6.
King d6. And what's this called again?
Perfect
position.
Perfect.
Perfect position, right? Now this is beautiful, lined up, and it's black's move, even better, the best position. Now doesn't matter which way he goes. Let's say he goes king c8. Now what do we do?
King E7.
King e7. Yeah. Now the pawn is assured a path, right? Everybody see that? Right? That is the way to win these king and pawn endgames, right? So you do not have to stalemate your opponent every time you get into these endgames. Try not to do that, because that will only cause frustration, and you're going to probably shout obscenities. I should have won that game. Happens to me all the time. Okay. So, yeah, when I'm playing, like my kids hear me playing, it's like, Daddy only curses when he plays chess. or if they're sleeping and I bang on the table and I wake up my wife. So it happens. All right. So, but I'm sure that never happened to you guys, right? Okay. So, okay, in this position. Okay, so those were very basic illustrations of Zugzwang in king and pawn endgames. So now here's a little bit more complex illustration of Zugzwang in more of a middle game scenario. So it's white to move. What do you think is the best move for white here? Your goal is to put your opponent in Zugzwang. What is the best move here?
Knight to E5.
Okay, so let's see. Knight.
No, I take it back. I know
Oh.
he gets the pawn. Sorry. I
Okay,
didn't see.
it's okay. It's okay.
Tell
All right.
me.
All right.
Rook to D1.
Rook d1. Let's see. Rook d1.
No.
Let's see here. So rook d1 kind of allows, now this rook will get active. This now you no longer control the f file. Now this rook controls the f file,
Oh, right.
right? So we don't want to
Yeah.
give him that. So give me something
Okay.
else.
Could
Maybe
you?
take the bishop. Knight to H6.
Okay, knight to h. Okay, knight takes h6. King takes.
Bring the rook down
Where?
to F7.
Good move or bad move, everyone?
Up. Sorry again. Thank you.
You
know,
don't want to do
This
that.
is $1 million class. I'm getting all my bad moves out of the way.
That's okay. It's okay. It's okay.
Tell
So
me,
even
huh?
if
Good night, everybody. I'll see you tomorrow.
okay, even if you did, even if you didn't lose the rook, that's still a bad move. Why? Because this knight is much more useful than this bishop, right? So we don't want to trade a more useful piece for a less useful piece, right? This bishop is basically blocked, can't retreat really, and the knight is doing a good job of keeping it in check. So we don't want to get rid of that. So what's another move you have?
It has to be one of the pawns, right?
Could be any move.
Pawn to b4.
Okay, pawn b4. Let's see here. Now, I think Black's best move is he wants to go bishop g5, and now maybe bring his bishop on this long diagonal and block our rook,
Ah.
right?
okay.
So he wants to improve his bishop. So we don't want him to do that. So what do you
I
think?
see.
How about knight to E6?
Knight to e6. Okay, what do you think, everyone? Good move or bad move?
It's probably a bad move because his knight can gobble up our knight.
Oh,
Yeah,
oh,
yeah, right.
Oh.
No good. That's protected. Okay. What do you think?
We want to prevent the bishop from moving.
How about H4?
H4. Yes, H4 is the correct answer. So why is this the correct answer?
By deductive logic.
Yeah, okay. So the
Trial
way
and error.
so I'm gonna tell you guys, I think I told you guys this before. When I look at the board, when I'm playing someone, I'm not really focusing on the pieces, right? When I'm playing someone, I'm focusing on what squares do I control and what squares does my opponent control, and how can I increase my control over the board and decrease my opponent's control over the board, right? So I'm looking at squares primarily. I think that's the most important thing to look at. And also piece mobility as well. So here, this knight cannot move, okay? If we move this knight to f7 or to c6, what can white do?
Take the E6 pawn.
Right. So this knight is basically chained to protect this e6 e6 pawn, right? And also once we take, if the knight does move and then we take this pawn check, once the king moves back, now we have knight takes h6 checkmate. So let's say knight moves here, and then knight takes e6 check. King only has one move, king g8. Knight takes h6 is checkmate. Okay, so knight cannot move. Now the bishop. Okay, the bishop. Actually, let's look at the king. The king can't move because he has to protect the bishop. The bishop wants to take this pawn, but is protected by the knight and can't move to f4. So the only free square for the bishop is g5. So why not remove that square from the bishop, right? So this is how you get your opponent in Zugzwang, is by slowly and methodically removing the squares that they control. Very slowly, very methodically. Remember, I explained this to you about Tigran Petrosian, how his style is like a python, right? He slowly constricts his prey, his opponent, until they are suffocated. They have no moves left, right? So it's not about brilliant sacrifices. To me, it's just more about steady and slow control over the board. And then eventually, once you have a dominating position, the mistakes just happen. Once the opponent is cramped and no more good moves, the mistakes just happen. You don't even need to attack. That's kind of how I like to play. So now let's look at the rook. The rook cannot move to e8, right? Because the knight. What if the rook moves to f8? Sorry, is that a good move? Rook f8? No? Why? I see Monty is shaking his head.
If the rook takes and the king takes our rook, now the bishop is unprotected.
Exactly. So the king is stuck on g7 protecting the bishop. So the king would be overworked, right? Protecting both the bishop and the rook. So if you move the rook, you will lose the bishop, right? If you move the rook to f8. So rook can't move to f8. The only square the rook can move to is g8. So once we play h4, his only square, he can go to g8 and back and forth. He's almost in Zugzwang, right? So the correct move is h4. Now, rook g8. Now, he can do some nonsense pawn moves, but that he's eventually going to run out of pawn moves, right? So they don't really matter. So let's say rook g8, rook f2. Okay, so let's say he does the pawn moves, right? He's like, I'm going to do some pawn moves, a5. He's going to quickly run out of pawn moves. And all we have to do is bring our king because now he's all tied up. Everything is tied up here. All we have to do, see, he's going to run out of pawn moves eventually. All we have to do is bring our king over, and he has absolutely nothing. He's completely paralyzed. All he can do is move his rook back and forth. We can bring our king, just basically walk our king and win the game. Isn't that wonderful? I love this. Like, this is what happens when you have such a dominating position over your opponent that you don't allow any counterplay. Right. That's the very important thing, I think, in chess is you want to have such complete control over the board that your opponent has absolutely no counterplay at all. Right. That's the goal. That's my goal anyway of playing. See, he doesn't even say eventually the knight has to move, because even if the knight didn't check, we would eventually take this pawn with check. Right. So let's say, I don't know, let's say instead of the knight move, let's say he moved here. Then we go check, check, check. And now we're even threatening rook check, king g8, and then mate right here. And all that, see, the king just walked very slowly, very slowly, and won the game, right? So this is the power of Zugzwang. If you can see how important it is to control important squares and remove those squares from your opponent. All right, everybody see that?
Mhm.
Pretty cool, right? I love this. Okay. So let's go on to the next one. Now, this is a very famous game. This game came to be known as the Immortal Zugzwang game. This was played by Samish is white and Nimzovich is black. I think I mentioned Nimzovich, right? He wrote My System. He was a very very strong chess player of the early 20th century. He was a world championship contender, even though he never became world champion, but he wrote some great chess books, chess material on basically chess philosophy, basically. So Nimzovich is black and Samish is white. What is the best move for for black in this position? Best move for black in this position. The Immortal Zugzwang game. What do you think?
Rook to C1.
Oh no, sorry, it's black's move.
Oh, I apologize.
Yeah, it's okay. Black's move, yeah.
Queen to A4.
Maybe I can flip the board if you guys make it easy for you. Flip the board there. So
No, that doesn't make it easier.
it doesn't make it
makes
easy.
more
Makes it worse.
Yeah.
Should I bring it back? Bring it back?
Yeah,
Okay.
bring it back.
Yes.
Okay, there you
Okay.
go.
Queen to A4.
Queen to A4. Let's see here.
Mm,
Let's see. Okay, you are attacking the pawn. Yeah, I guess that would be winning as well. There's not really much he can do to protect the pawn. Maybe yeah, there's not really much he can do to protect the pawn. That probably would be winning, but there's a much stronger move. Yeah, stronger move than that.
Bishop E2.
Bishop E2. No, actually, that just loses the bishop.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
He tried bishop E, sorry, no. Bishop 1, bishop. You know what? I don't see the bottom letters in A, B, C, D, E, F.
Oh, you don't see A B C D E F G, right?
Sorry, no, I don't. No, not on my screen. But right there we go. Now I see it.
Okay.
I was thinking, but no. Then I was thinking of the trade-off. If the bishop moves to F1, then
This bishop moves to F1.
yeah. But then there's the trade-off, and I was trying to go through the process because we've got 2 rooks there. But yeah, but never mind. I was trying to go through that.
Yeah, actually, no. Then black would lose a piece, right?
Yeah. And then that goes that way, that goes that way, that goes that way.
Yeah. So you just lose a piece. Yeah.
Okay.
How about rook to F3?
Rook to. Okay, so both rooks can go to F3. So which one?
Oh, the top.
So rook 5 to F3. Okay, so the queen only has one safe square, queen G5, and the queen is pretty safe. I mean, it is a good move. I mean, actually, you know what? Before rook 5 to F3, you do lose the exchange there. So that might not be a good move. And then the queen escapes. Yeah. And now white's position is a little bit freer. Yeah.
Okay.
All right, what else?
How about E5?
E5. That
Force
might
the pawn exchange and get that
might
pawn
even
from blocking the D5.
yeah, that might even help white because now the queen is free, right? The queen is free to start harassing the black position. I mean, white is in a bind here. There's not many good moves for white, so that should give you a clue, right? Because we're looking for Zugzwang, right? We're looking to eliminate all good moves for white, all right? So what do you think? So we don't want to give him counterplay.
Bishop to G3, takes pawn.
Bishop takes bishop G3. You just
Bishop
lose. Yeah,
Oh,
you
yeah.
just yeah. Yeah. You want me to give you a hint?
No.
So could it be as simple as black pawn h6?
So what does that achieve?
The queen won't be able to. Oh no, sorry, I was worried. I was thinking the next move white would make maybe would be to free the queen.
Like what?
And
Like
then that
how would white free the queen though?
Oh, free the queen. Move forward, maybe diagonally.
What square can white move to? How can white free the queen?
I was just thinking about moving the queen. If I was white, I would try to move my queen.
To where? Which square? Tell me, give me a square.
Oh, I was thinking I would move to h6.
H6. Wait,
Right.
you mean before? Well, you can't move it.
Before the black pawn.
Well, even
Yeah.
even before, you still can't move it there though.
Oh, that's right. I could.
Right?
That's right.
Right?
Uh-huh.
So yeah, H6 is the correct move, but why? Why is that the correct move? Anybody see why?
What's the next move that white would make there? Maybe move the bishop.
So what is black threatening after H6? That's another question.
So
Maybe G5.
G5. Not really. There's a stronger threat than G5.
no.
Oh, I'll give you another anecdote about this game. After h6, white resigned, by the way.
Wow.
Oh my gosh.
So powerful move. Powerful. See, it's the quiet moves that sometimes are the most powerful, right? So now the question is, if you were white, would you resign after black played h6?
No.
I don't think I would see the end.
I know, right? So yeah, this is a top level game.
Hmm.
Okay.
Pawn to g4.
Okay, so g4. Okay, so now what does that lose to? What can black do? What does that lose to?
Well, you're threatening the rook.
Okay, you're threatening the rook. So now what's the best move for black here?
Move the rook.
To where?
E5.
E5? No. Well, two reasons. You're going to lose this rook, and you can take your rook.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, so where would I move my rook?
You want to stay
So
on the
I
F
would-
file.
Stan,
Right.
what? Say again?
You want to stay on the F file?
Yeah, you pretty much have to stay in the F file because you got to protect your F2 rook. Yeah.
Bishop to F4.
Okay, so bishop to F4. You still lose this rook because now the bishop's blocking the rook. All right.
Hmm.
So what's a good
Then you
move?
get-
Here?
You can move your rook down to f3, and then you can mess with the queen.
So rook 5 to F3, right? So this is the winning move. Why is that the winning move? Everybody see why? So now even if the bishop takes the rook takes, and thanks to this little pawn move on 8 to h6, g5 is removed from being a safe square for the queen. The queen is trapped almost in the middle of the board. The queen has no safe squares at all, right? Very powerful move. So what else? Now just look at this position. This is a very powerful position. So what can white do? You know, if white tries to bring the bishop down to try to bring the knight here to d2, if he brings the bishop down, he loses this knight because now he's cutting off the defense from the rooks. So he can't move the bishop to c1, can't move to c3. The b4 pawn is protected by the d6 bishop. Even if he tries a3 to try to get this pawn out of the way, black can just go a5 and then take, and now the pawn is there. Bishop can't do anything, and now the queen's completely trapped, can't move anywhere, everywhere is covered. The rook can't move here. You're gonna lose the exchange and probably lose an entire piece, lose an entire rook. Bishop can't come down here. Gonna lose a piece. Bishop can't come here. It's gonna be horrible. So yeah, there's really nothing nothing constructive that white can do here. He is in a state of Zugzwang, right? He's gonna lose his queen on the next move, and there's absolutely nothing that white can do about it.
Oh.
Pretty amazing, right? Pretty amazing. That is the power of Zugzwang when it's utilized by a master, by someone who's well versed in chess. Nimzovich had a very firm grasp on controlling squares, right, and dominating the board. So that's great. So let's see if we can do another one. So this one is a game between Magnus Carlsen. Between Magnus Carlsen and I forget, I didn't write down who is his opponent. Magnus Carlsen is white here. And what is the best move for white? So with the topic of Zugzwang, he wants to put his opponent in Zugzwang. What is the best move for white here?
rook to B7.
Okay, so rook B7. Rook B7. It doesn't really accomplish much. Okay, you're attacking the pawn. Let's see here. Okay. I mean, the knight can sort of escape like this, kind of. Not really though, but yeah, kind of can sort of escape. So there's actually a much stronger move than that. Even though that does win this pawn, there's no way that he can save the pawn. And again, the other thing rook b7 does is it gives now you're giving control of the c file to white. So now again, possible counterplay. So you don't want to give your opponent counterplay, right? You want to keep him in a bind, keep him paralyzed. So best move here.
Bishop
Knight
B5.
B5.
Yeah, bishop b5 is the best move here. Why? Because the knight. Okay, so let's look at this. Rook cannot move to e8, right? Controlled by the bishop. Rook cannot move to d7, controlled by the bishop. Cannot move to c8, controlled by the rook. Can the bishop move anywhere? Any safe squares for the bishop? No safe squares. All these controlled by pawns, and then blocked by his own pieces. Okay. The knight cannot move to d7 or c6. The only safe square for the knight is a6. So Magnus saw that and he's like, I'm going to take that away from you. You got nothing. So bishop b5, very powerful move. And there's really nothing that black can do. Maybe he can waste a move pushing this pawn, and then white can even go b4. And now what do you think is black's best move here? What is black's best move? It's actually the only move that doesn't lose material for black immediately.
That's going to be the bishop to C6, or I'm sorry, D6.
Bishop d6? No, pawn's gonna take.
I got my directions backwards.
Yeah, it's okay. There's only one move black can do. King what?
G7.
Well, king g7, and now the rook, the bishop falls, right? So the only move that black does that doesn't lose material immediately is king f7, right? Protecting the bishop. Now, best move for white. What is the best move here?
Take the bishop.
No.
No.
You take the bishop. Now black is happy.
Oh yeah.
Now he's winning. So no, not take the bishop. So what is the best move here?
Knight to G5.
Yes, knight to g5 is the best move. Bishop cannot take. It's bishop's pinned. Knight is attacking f7 and e6. So king must move back to f8. And now the killer blow. Knight takes e6, forking king and rook. And if he tries to hold on to this bishop by going king f7, that's even worse. Now we have knight takes d8, and he can't even take back because he's going to be in check. Bishop's pinned. He's going to lose an entire rook. So really, the best move here that he has is even abandoning the bishop, and now black wins the entire bishop, completely winning, dominating game. So yeah, all right, that's Zugzwang. What do you guys think? Cool.
Yeah.
I love
Very
that.
cool.
All right, so yeah, hope you learned something. Any questions, by the way, before we finish off?
I'm confused by the previous game. Don't you lose both rooks?
Let's see. Don't you lose
You
both
bring
rooks?
the pawn up, so now.
Yeah, so if you come down, yeah, you do lose both rooks, but let's say, yeah, now he takes here, he's gonna take. So now I mean, actually, it's a nice position for black even because now look at this bishop has so much control. This bishop, the bishop on d3, actually black is threatening forking both rooks and also threatening just to push and promote. So this is a killer position for black.
Thank you.
So yeah, definitely. Any other questions?
Mm-mm.
All right, awesome. So yeah, for next week, any requests, or should I just scour my lectures of another cool lecture for you guys?
Have we done any on forks yet?
I don't think
Yours,
no, we
things
didn't. We
like that?
no, I think we did. I did pins. I think the first
Pins.
time, right? So yeah, everybody cool with doing forks next week?
Yeah.
Forks, awesome. Yeah, I like forks. All right, great. All right. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed that and learned something about Zugzwang, and hopefully you can apply that to your games. And hopefully when you're playing your games, you try to see and envision which squares you control, which squares your opponent control, and slowly creep up and control more squares at the same time as not allowing your opponent to control as much, right? So and that's how you get these very powerful positions where one pawn move and the person resigns. maybe that's gonna happen to you guys, right? You're gonna make a move and then they're gonna resign. You're gonna be like, what? I don't even understand why you resigned. Cool. All right.
Hey,
Right.
when you, Danilo, when you get that article about the consultants for the Queen's Gambit, could you share it with us?
Yeah. Who was that? Greg? That
was Greg.
yeah. Yeah. Just email me that. And do you have everyone's email? I mean, I could email everyone once I get it.
I'll send it to you and you can email everyone.
Yeah. I'll do that. Yeah. Send it to me. I'll email it to everyone. Yeah. Looking forward to it. That's yeah. Thank you. By the way, Nancy, for that recommendation. I am constantly amazed every single day. People are mentioning that series to me. It's amazing. Like so
Yeah.
many it's so many people are talking about chess now. Like I think I've gotten a few new students just because that series has revived people's interest in chess.
Mhm.
Did you watch CBS Sunday Morning?
No.
There was an episode, it's a kind of news thing, but there was a story on it Sunday morning about chess.
Uh-huh.
And they interviewed some chess master who said that chess has grown amazing in popularity in part because of the pandemic and everybody is stuck at home.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true. That's true.
But also because of chess, I don't remember the word. I think they might have said streaming, where you watch people play chess on the internet.
Right. Streamers, yeah. That is a big thing too. People, recording their games as they're playing, and yeah,
Well,
that's.
and then there's professional streamers, and you can join their club for $5 a month or something. Some woman, I forgot what her rank was, but she makes a 6-figure income just doing this streaming.
Yeah, which is
Wow.
it's pretty nice,
Dang.
right? Pretty nice getting paid to play some chess games, right? I'm still trying to figure out that secret. So when you figure it out, let me know, okay?
Okay, you'll be the first to know.
I'll be the first to know. Awesome, thank you. Cool. All right, so next week we'll do forks.
Okay,
Cool.
Great.
Thank you.
Thanks for the
Great
great
seeing you
program.
guys. So hope you guys have a wonderful week.
You
Yep.
too.
too.
You
Take
too.
care.
Bye.
Bye.